Do we have an action-packed show? We got NHL Playoffs, and we got the Queen of Pucks. Our official girl is here with us on the show today, Sarina Taylor, and she's going to talk about the NHL Playoffs. We'll have her on very shortly. We got NBA Playoffs. We've got the Derby this week. We got Formula One. I mean, we got so much stuff going on, but I want to introduce my two co-hosts. Of course, I'm Scott Matthews. I am the host of this show, the OSB Sports Podcast, joined by my man right here, the CEO of the Sports Profits, Teddy Brooks. What's up, Teddy?
How you guys doing? Very excited for this show. You
jacked up? Because I know you got your girl here. You were looking to have her on.
I was waiting for Sarina last week. I was very disappointed in Tommy D for the scheduling error, but he fixed it. Everything's good.
Yep.
Speaking of the Derby, so I have deep family ties in the horse racing and the highlight businesses.
I did not know that.
And I have a prediction for the Derby for you guys, so I'm excited.
All right, well, let's, here he is, ladies and gentlemen. What more can I say? The one and only Tommy D, a.k.a. the Big Kahuna OSB. What's up, Tommy?
Everything's good, but we are excited to have...
You're getting applause, too. Wow.
Yeah?
We don't get that.
Thanks, Mom. But
what's going on? How's everything going?
Everything's good, but I'm excited to have Sarina, CatsnboltsPodcast. She's an aficionado at hockey here.
So she's going up against Scotty M. So let's see what she brings to the table on our show today. Because I went a little soft on her last time, but I'm gonna, this is playoff time. The intensity levels in the NHL go up now. So we got a lot of good things going on. And like I said, do you hear about the fight with Jake Paul and Tyson has been sanctioned now, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we got a little interesting news that the Big Kahuna brought my way about drinking and sports betting, but I'm going to talk about that a little later in the show. So I think we're going to bring Sarina on the show. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's got to give her the royal entrance.
Hey.
Wow.
Should we stand?
All right. Hey, you know what? That's an entrance. Sabrina, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me.
It's good to have you back.
Yes, definitely.
We're in a different season right now in the NHL, though. We're in season number 2, I guess. The intensity levels go up. What's your thoughts between, obviously, 82-game season, now we go into the playoffs. Obviously, you see the intensity levels, these matchups, they get a lot more physical. What's your thoughts on the playoffs, per se, versus the regular season with these teams playing against each other?
Well, a lot of times when the playoffs come, you have to remember that everyone's legs are shot.
Yep.
Hockey's a tough game. You're getting hit into the boards. You're running your legs into the ground. You're skating however many miles every time, every game. But the intensity does get dialed up. You're playing the same team in a best-of-7 series. As you guys know, anything can happen. So you're on pins and needles as a player, as a coach, as a fan, and you have to be prepared. And I think that the adrenaline can also wear you out as well when your adrenaline gets kicked up. So, yeah, it's a completely different season. I agree with that.
Well, unfortunately, my Boston Bruins, I thought were wrapping it up and they were going to play the Panthers, but they shot the bed last night, forcing a Game 6 back in Toronto. What's your take on that series? That's an interesting series because Toronto's beat Boston 2 times in Boston, and Boston beat Toronto both times in Toronto. So that series looks very interesting. It seems like it could go either way.
I feel like Boston's probably going to pull this one out. I think that with what we've seen on the bench in Toronto, there's been a lot of turbulence on that bench. Players yelling at each other to stop crying, all this and that. There's a lot of uproar. And we were just talking about it this morning, how when the Leafs are unrest, the whole country's in unrest.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Boston is a stronger team composure-wise,
right,
and they'll win the next game.
Okay. So they're going to go to Toronto and get the job done and beat them 3 times in a row in Toronto to move on.
I think they will, just because the Leafs won the last game because Austin Matthews wasn't playing due to an illness. And sometimes the teams, I feel like they rally around it when he's not exactly their leader, but he scored 69 goals this year. And so the fans know and the players know that they're missing a big chunk of their offense with him. the other players rally around, pick it up. We saw Max Domi have a really good game when Matthews wasn't playing the other night, but I don't think that the Leafs have the capability to withstand and continue that through to win 2 more games.
I was going to ask you that. Is Matthews coming back for the next game, or do they not? Have they not said yet?
They haven't said anything yet. Everybody's kind of wondering what's going on with him. He has not been playing, they said, due to illness. They pulled him out of game 4. He didn't play the 3rd period because of illness. He's clearly sick. There's something going on with him or he would be playing. I don't think they're hiding an injury, though, but nobody really knows.
And so your take on it is they rallied and gave it their all because he was out, and they might not be able to hold that up for a couple more games.
Oh, you see that a lot in sports. You know,
Right.
a key player comes out, and then all of a sudden the replacements
Besides
really
the
rally.
Heat, Jimmy Butler is gone, and they can't even put up a fight at all.
I mean, you got a really interesting series. I don't know if you've been watching this one that closely. I'm sure you are. But Vegas and Dallas.
That's the one I was going to ask about.
All road wins.
It's a dandy, that one, which I figured at the start of the playoffs that was going to be the tightest series. I picked Vegas to win. I still feel like Vegas is going to pull it out, and I think Vegas is going to beat them, but what a beauty of a series that one, which is not shocking because Dallas has an incredibly strong team as well.
But it is shocking from the standpoint that all 4 games on the road, you know, the road team won. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The home team has not won a game in this series, which is pretty unusual in the NHL playoffs. Usually the home team has an edge.
Usually, yeah, especially with the fans. You're in a loud building that's not that big, and but it does happen a lot more than you would realize. There's a lot of 1-1 series or 2-2 and whatever. So yeah, that is an interesting dynamic. That's not a big distance geographically between those two teams. So there's not that far that they have to go.
They know each other too.
Yeah.
They played throughout the season.
Any surprises in the series that have ended so far? Any surprises there?
If I had to pick a surprise, I would probably say I was surprised that Tampa didn't put up a bigger fight against the Panthers. Tampa Bay has the ability. They have such strong players, such quality players, such talent on that team. They've won 2 Stanley Cups with a lot of guys that are on that team. I really don't feel like they played up to their abilities. They did in Game 4. Game 4, we saw the Lightning that I was kind of expecting to see a little bit more in the series, but I think they just kind of rolled over a little bit. That was probably the most shocking so far, if I had to say.
I'm going to tell you a series that I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure you are too. This Carolina Rangers series is going to be awesome. These are 2 teams that have been playing lights out pretty steady all year long. Now they're going at each other.
That's going to be an interesting series. Both of those teams won their series by a landslide. Nobody was shocked. It was not a difficult series for them. But I really feel like it's going to be tough. I'm going to give the edge to Carolina.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the Rangers have...
What's the odds on that series?
Rangers a favorite, I believe.
Yeah,
I would
they
think.
probably are.
Yeah.
Small favorite.
Yeah, the Rangers have very strong defensemen, but Carolina has just been playing so well, and they just have guys like Svechnikov that can put the puck in the net. Carolina's, I don't think anybody should underrate them. Everybody's known all year that the Rangers are a great team. Carolina's going to come in probably and do some damage.
I think the Rangers, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, had the most points in the NHL
They
this
did.
year.
They won the President's Cup.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it was Florida was right behind them. I think it was second, or I'm not sure.
Who was second?
I think it was Panthers, but maybe I'm wrong.
You know,
Rangers
we
favorite.
have that
first
President's
game.
Cup curse also. I mean,
That's what we talk about all the time.
It
That's
goes
what we
and goes
talk
and
about.
goes.
I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity, but even though I'm from Boston, I shouldn't even say this, but I've gone to Madison Square Garden for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
There is no building. I mean, I see some of these buildings that, don't get me wrong, that they get into it, but Madison Square Garden for a playoff hockey game is out of sight.
The one thing about MSG is it's so small,
Yeah.
right? Like the roof is so small. You know, I've been to games in Edmonton in both rinks, the old rink and the new rink. The new rink is a cavern. It's really big, but it still gets really loud. In Edmonton, it gets loud in Vegas. It was loud in Tampa on Saturday. Very, very loud from what I understand. So, yeah, it's...
How come it don't get loud in Sunrise? It's
a different...
What's the deal with Sunrise? You can't get the fans jacked up enough?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a disconnect with their pregame stuff, and there's just not a lot of it. It's a different fan base here, though.
Florida fans are...
Oh, boy. Here we go, guys.
Well, I mean,
I'm ducking under the desk right now.
coming from someone who was born and raised in Florida,
Oh, and then you can say this.
Florida fans are just not. They're not as into their sports as other places. It's just,
but they show up.
They show up because
show up,
they
make
can
noise.
spend the money. You know, the Panthers have a good, affluent areas around the stadium and the arena. But overall, just every sport, besides maybe college football, it's always been. I mean, the Marlins can't fill their stadium.
Okay.
Have you ever been to a Heat
By the
game?
way, if you want me, I'll take you to the Marlins game. They'll pay us to sit.
Yeah, they pay us.
They'll pay us to go and give us food.
They charge you $15
That's
and
the
they
new
give you
word.
free beers all night. So you have a couple beers and
Yeah.
you're making money on the deal. No, the Marlins are tough. I mean, but I wouldn't want to go see them anyway because they don't care about their team.
People in South Florida from so many different locations.
That's
also,
part of it.
so-
But have you ever been to a Heat game? Have you guys-
I've never.
They're intense.
I disagree.
No, they get into Heat
you
games,
go
they
to a
get
Heat
in.
game,
Yeah.
you got a bunch of guys dressed up in like what they wore to work before they came. You got a bunch of girls there to just
Fashion show.
Yeah, it's more of like a social event.
It's Miami.
than-
It's Miami.
Exactly.
What do you think?
That's
What do you think LA's like? They're all like that.
well,
big cities.
it could be. Yeah, I mean, I've never been to a game in LA.
Madison Square Garden. The
just-
guys come right off Wall Street,
I'm
right
talking
to the.
from experience where you just don't get as much of that. You know, if the team loses, they're going to go home and they're going to be fine no matter what. Whereas some cities, it's do or die.
I got to ask Sabrina while I have her on the show. I know she's not her forte is not to be a predictor, but at this stage right now where you're seeing it, obviously we haven't even got through the first rounds, all these teams, so we don't really know who's going to go against who. We can indicate it based on, teams are up 3-1, whatever. Like the other series we talked about, Vegas is 2-2 right now. But who do you feel is the strongest team right now if you had to pick one team just to get the job done and go to the Stanley Cup? Who would you think that would be at this point?
Why don't you ask the two teams? Who do you think will be in the Stanley Cup?
I'm just trying to make it easier on her picking one.
If I had, obviously I'm an Oilers fan.
Okay.
I think the Oilers have a good chance. However, if somebody had to ask me based on recent play, I would say Colorado.
You like Colorado?
So that brings me
I love this.
to my question because I wish you were.
Oh boy.
I wish I had communication with you a couple weeks ago when my two big bets for the first round were the Panthers. They were like minus 180, so it's not the great odds. But then I saw the Jets at plus 140, and I've been as a sports bettor, I've been riding the Jets this year, and they've done well for me.
Now Colorado, excuse me, I'm sorry, they clinched that series, right?
Yeah, it's 4-1. It's over.
Okay.
So talk to me, because I always looked at Colorado. I mean, at one point in the season, they weren't that high up as far as points. I mean, they were like in the middle of the pack, but they were favored to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, they were steady all year, though.
They were steady, but they might have
Dallas
been
played good too.
They
don't
might have been
forget.
like third or fourth in the West, but then they were favored to win the Stanley Cup odds wise. So tell me about Colorado. Why you feel that they're going to get to that point?
Putting the odds aside, from a hockey standpoint,
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Colorado is just so deep. And people underestimate them. One of the things I said on the Cats and Bolts podcast at the start of this year was, I'll never underestimate Tampa and I'll never underestimate Colorado. People underestimated Colorado, I think, all year. And then all of a sudden the playoffs came and they started playing really well. And everyone's like, wait a second, this is the Colorado we saw 2 years ago when they won the Stanley Cup. Completely different team. Why they can do it is because of the great players they have. They have Nate McKinnon, who is behind Connor McDavid, the best hockey player in the world.
Right.
And they have the best defenseman in the world in Cale Makar. And Cale Makar can put the puck in the net. He gets a lot of points. So when you have players like that, when they won the Stanley Cup, Darcy Kemper was their goalie. He wasn't a strong goaltender. They didn't have to rely on their goalie, and that's where they're at right now. So I think that what they did a number on Winnipeg, and I know we were talking before the show, you're like, man, I really picked Winnipeg. And I was like, see, I knew Colorado was going to mop the floor
Yeah,
with
I
them.
needed you. Man.
Most of the reason is because Winnipeg is just choke artists. That's what they do. They just can never
It's like
hang
the New
in
York
there.
Knicks. They can't win the clinch the
Now,
clinch the final
here's
game.
my follow-up question. You got this Vegas-Dallas series, which I had Dallas. I picked Dallas, but they're going at it. I mean, Vegas won the 2 in Dallas, and Dallas won the 2 in
ready to
Vegas.
Stop playing hockey.
Now, it's 2-2. It's looking like a series that can go the distance, right? 7 games. So how do you feel about, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, rest versus, like the Panthers? They could potentially be waiting for a while. The Avalanche could potentially be waiting for a while. So do you think rest is good, bad, neutral? How do you feel about it?
Sometimes it kind of depends. I've seen, shockingly, physiologically, you would think the deeper you get into the playoffs, your body would want more rest because it would need more rest. But what I've seen in the past, in 2006, when Edmonton went to the Stanley Cup final, I think they waited 13 days between they swept the semifinal and they had to wait to play Carolina in the final.
Didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
They were flat.
Yeah.
If the Panthers only wait 7 or 8 days, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I think they're still in a position right now where the rest is not going to hurt them. I think it's going to help them more than anything.
Okay.
You know, it's funny you say that. I was watching McAfee today, and Matthew Tkachuk did an interview with him, and he asked him that question, matter of fact. And he says, I don't know, sometimes they don't like to have too much time.
Of course.
Especially when you're in a groove. You want to be playing.
Of course.
You're hot. You're locked in.
That's why
why sit there and let it chill down?
Right. That's why deeper into the playoffs, it's harder to have a longer rest because you're in a rhythm. They just came out of a series that really wasn't, like the Panthers, it really wasn't that difficult for them to win. Yeah. It's not like you're beat up.
Seems like they handled Tampa pretty well.
Yeah. When you lose your legs,
they were physical, those games. A couple of them were real physical.
Yeah, there was a lot of hits, but they were slow games. It was a slow series. The other series are a lot faster.
Now, last year, Vegas went the distance with Edmonton. Am I correct?
No,
6. 5 games.
Panthers.
The Panthers swept. The Panthers swept
Carolina.
Carolina.
Who went to the Stanley Cup?
Right. The Panthers swept Carolina, and they waited. They had the rest, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't that long.
It wasn't
I don't
that long.
think.
Okay.
No. No,
because Vegas did.
But Vegas beat Edmonton in the second round last year, not the third round.
Was it the second round?
Yeah,
okay, my mistake.
I think Vegas won quickly too. So
it wasn't too bad. But going back to the Vegas-Dallas series, Vegas is so strong, and that's why they're going to be able to pull it out. Because you're right, that series is either going to go 6 or 7 games. It's one of the two, right? Probably 7. Dallas is a 7-series team. They always go 7 games for whatever reason. Always. There's something about them.
And Vegas was hurt all year pretty much, and they got healthy right before the year ended.
So how that kind of worked was their captain, Mark Stone, was injured. They put him on long-term injured reserve to open up cap space. So they made some trades, brought some guys in, because that's the rule in the NHL. Yeah. If a guy's on injured reserve, he doesn't take up cap space. So they put Mark Stone on the long-term injured reserve, brought guys in, and now they're technically over cap.
A lot of the key players were injured throughout the other.
Yeah, they did. They did
a lot of injuries.
They really couldn't quite find their groove, especially early on in the season.
Trying to match lines up and put guys in positions.
Yeah, it's hard to do that when you have guys that are injured all the time. It's hard to play
I'm going to disagree with you on that, though. I'm going to totally disagree. I'm going to think that Dallas is going to win this series. Okay. I think they're going to win this game, and they're going to win the next game, and they're going to go 4-2.
Vegas not going to roll over, man.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Log on to the Hard Rock
I don't think Dallas will lose.
Put your money where your mouth is, Scotty.
Get onto the Hard Rock app right now.
I always put my money where my mouth is. I'm not.
But I love Edmonton. I mean, they're scary good.
Conor McGregor.
Connor McDavid.
Best power play.
You did this last week, too. You called Conor Verhaeghe Conor McGregor. Now every hockey player whose first name is Conor is Conor McGregor.
It's Carter Verhaeghe, so we got problems here.
Right. But he's so clutch, though.
Scotty has an issue with names. He can't pronounce Bobrovsky's name. Yeah. He can't do it.
Call him Bob.
Bob is fine.
Say his name.
I'm Bob. You put me on the hot seat, Teddy? Come on, I'm the host here. No.
What could go longer, NBA playoffs or hockey playoffs, if they all go 7 games?
They go pretty much the same distance.
It's about the same.
It's the same. They're all
but hockey could go to the 3rd week of June if it goes 7 games.
That's where the NBA goes.
Yeah,
well, it's pretty much the same. If they all, because it's 16 teams in both. Yeah, they're all 7-game series.
Right.
They all give them. You know what really bothers me as a Florida sports fan? It's not going to really matter this year. It was rough last year. The Heat games and the Panther games, and you're not probably a big NBA fan, but the Heat games and the Panthers games, they were on same day, same time, almost every. It's like what?
And they're the early game, both of them.
Yeah, it's like okay, the Heat and the Panthers both play Thursday night at 7. The Heat and the Panthers both play Saturday at 5, and it's just like
we actually did notice that last year. Yeah, you're right. It was the exact same.
Well, because they were the one against 8 seats. So that's why they probably go the early.
They were both 8 seeds last year.
Yeah, but they were played at the same time.
Give us a break as a fan.
It doesn't make sense.
Both, let us watch both. Mm-hmm. Bet you're not doing that with the Rangers and the Knicks. I mean, I got to look at it now because I'm coming from a bias.
East Coast games got to be early, 7:30. When are they going to play them?
They can alternate days though.
Before you go, I want to ask your
We're
opinion.
kicking her out already?
No.
Yeah, what the hell?
But I want to
just got here.
I want to ask her opinion though on this series between the Rangers and Carolina. Because me personally, I think it's going to be a dynamite series. I think both of these teams are spectacular and they're coming in right. Who do you think has the edge in that series?
I think technically, if you look at
who do you think's going to win this series?
I think Carolina is going to.
You think they're going to get past them?
Yeah, if you watch the Rangers, they did really well at the start, and then they had about 20 games where they were god-awful.
Okay.
They tanked, and then they started playing again, like it was about December.
But they're locked in right now.
Yeah, but it's going to depend. I feel like Carolina has more steady forwards.
Okay.
So you have guys that play. The Rangers are they're all four of their lines are unbelievable. But you have some guys like Alex Lafreniere. He's either going to have a really good game or he's going to kind of not have a great game. And you need guys like that to have a great game all the time.
All right.
So I'm not sure when you get past the first couple of lines what's going to happen there. The Rangers' defense is good, though. It's really good. And Shesterkin...
Well, they're both good. They're both good defensive teams.
Absolutely.
You don't get to this point,
The odds makers agree with Sarina. They have the Hurricanes.
Of course they do. They don't agree with Scott.
They have the Hurricanes favored at minus 145.
But Rangers are favored the first game.
Yeah.
Oh, they might be favored the first game at home,
Right.
but
Now, Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, is still the favorite to win the Stanley Cup?
no.
Because they were before it started.
No, yes, they are the favorite to it. So let me just throw this out there for everyone watching that wants to make a future bet on wherever you bet. Carolina Hurricanes plus 400. Number 2, Edmonton Oilers plus 475. Number 3, the Florida Panthers. And number 4, the underrated Colorado Avalanche favored to win it all.
At what odds?
The Colorado Avalanche are plus 550 on the
There
Hard
you
Rock.
go. If you want.
So it's all pretty close.
Yeah, it's
the top
400,
four.
550. It really dropped. The biggest drop is between the New York Rangers. Now, here's what's interesting. The Dallas Stars, this is this is what we do. We look at numbers and we see what's going on. So the Stars and the Knights are tied. The Dallas Stars are plus 900 to win the Stanley Cup. The Vegas Golden Knights are plus 1,800.
Well, it's
because they're going tonight into Dallas tied 2-2.
Tied 2-2. I understand that. I'm just saying the Dallas Stars, according to the odds makers, are almost twice as likely to win the Stanley Cup
Well,
as
if
Vegas.
you go by that, but
Hey, listen, it's numbers, Scotty. I mean,
yeah, but numbers don't mean nothing at the end of the day. They got to perform. They got to perform.
You come on the show every week and
gotta
say, I'm a
perform.
numbers guy.
He's the numbers guy.
Thank you,
You
Ben.
are the numbers guy.
That's
But
literally
it
your
doesn't-
line is I'm the numbers guy.
It doesn't mean anything, though, until they face each other. The numbers.
All right, I don't know. Let's move
I think
on.
Dallas moves on.
You're all of a sudden no longer a numbers guy, but that's okay.
I'm curious why you think Dallas is going to win this series.
Because I look at things. I look at.
You look at the numbers.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what I was setting him up for.
Thank you.
See that? See that?
Thank you.
I'm looking at the overall series. I don't think that Vegas is going to go back into Dallas and win a third straight game.
So
in a
you're
row.
saying because
And I
Dallas
think-
has more home games right now, and the rest of Dallas has 2 home games left.
No.
Vegas has 1.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
I just said Dallas will win the next 2 games in a row and win
Gotcha.
the series. I think they're the better team. I think Vegas had their shot last year. They're not the same team this year. They're trying to put it together, and I think
Wait.
Why are they not the same team?
What makes Dallas the better team is what I want to know.
in my eyes,
Yeah.
I just think they're more together, and they've been playing steadier all year.
That's fair.
They had a better regular season. I mean, that's not
Well,
deniable.
How do you base it on?
No, I'm agreeing in there. They did have the better regular
This is what
season.
you base it
Tommy,
on.
what's the matter? You're not talking today.
I'm
Big Kahuna.
talking. I'm listening.
We shut him down.
No,
we
This
shut him
is
down.
what you base it on. You
Yeah.
base it on how the team. We just talked
Right.
about how this is the second season.
Right.
Everything starts over.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you're wrong, but when you look at the experience Vegas has, they've been in the league for 7 years. They've been in the
Right.
Stanley Cup final 2 times.
Right.
That's incredible.
It is.
They have the experience. Dallas is
But
like the
here's my point.
bridesmaid.
Here's my point. You're up 2-0. You go into the opposing building. You go 2 up. You come home. What happens? You lose 2 straight.
So I see where Scotty's coming
Why
from
don't you
there.
win one? Your own
No, I
building?
hear you. Vegas is not going to lose
And
3
now
games
you're
straight.
dominating the series.
I see.
telling you.
So I see where Scotty's coming from, and this translates to all sports. If you win both games
On the road.
pretty
Pretty
You're
convincingly.
up here. then and you
come
come
home.
back home and lose both, there is a little bit of a demoralization
Agreed.
in that there, and that could
And
affect.
sparks the other team.
Typically, I always say this in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the second game is the most important game of the series. Because if you're playing at home and you win the first game at home, you're in a good spot. If you lose that next game and you're going to someone else's barn, you're in trouble. But if you're the team that's going home and you just tied the series, you're in a much. So game 2 is so
So,
important.
audience, listen to what Sarina just said. You're talking about from now on, whoever wins that second game, look at them for a futures bet for the whole series.
Makes a big difference.
Okay,
Like,
I like
what
it.
he's saying right there, the reason he's saying what he's saying is because Vegas won the second game and then lost the next 2, and that's what screwed them. They should
Well,
be in a better spot.
Think about it from a standpoint. You go on the road in a tough environment. They've been steady at home, right? They had a great home record. They go in there, dominate. Now they go back to their building where they're probably the dominating team, right? Going in game 3, they lose. Game 4, they find a way to lose. They're down right now in their mind, maybe, unless they make big changes. Now they're coming into a building where they just lost 2 in a row. The home team is going to be so jacked up for this game. Vegas is going to have to play an A-plus game, I feel, to beat this team
But
tonight.
they will because Vegas has been there
Yeah,
before.
they know. They'll
bring it. They'll bring it.
And Vegas, correct me if I'm wrong, but Vegas is home ice. I mean, that's powerful. Like those fans are for a new team of
Very
a
intense.
fairly new
Very
team.
intense.
It's an intense place.
We were there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Intense place. to
Probably
see.
more intense than the Panthers game.
I'd say 100%.
But we also, because they put the money into making the entertainment and making it an entertainment thing,
it's-
which is Vegas.
Close friend of mine lives in Summerlin, which is right outside of Vegas, and he's born and raised in Florida like myself, but he loves the Knights, loves going to the games. He became a Knight fan like that. It seems like they just pulled people in with what they did. It was pretty cool.
And they
they've
win.
sold out since day one.
Yeah.
I mean, let me tell you
And they
something.
win. That's important too.
If you want to go to a real shit show, you go to a game in Vegas. That is like it's like a real show. They put on a show to get the crowd jacked up.
100%.
I mean,
So Sarina, you like Vegas, then the winner of that's going to play Colorado. You like obviously Colorado. So you're high on Colorado.
Well, yeah, just because of the way the way I saw them skate against Winnipeg, they dominated a fast team. Winnipeg is a fast team.
Yep.
They had arguably the best goaltender in the league, and Colorado dominated them in the ways that we knew Colorado can.
Now I'm going to ask you a question that might upset you. Because I was just watching your
Our
show.
husband's here, so be careful.
I was just watching your,
he just put the dark glasses on. He just said it.
He's glad it's not him.
Hold on.
taking it.
What's he
I was
pulling out
really-
of? What's he pulling out of the
So
briefcase
let's
now?
keep this.
I was just watching your show before we went on. The Cats and Bolts podcast was on, which we're going to put a link to that show also because it's great. Really gets deep into the game of hockey. But let's just say your team, Edmonton and Colorado, are playing in the Western Conference Final. Who takes that series? I hate to do it to you because I know you don't like these questions, but these are what our people are looking for.
I know. I came on here fully knowing I was going to have to make these decisions.
Life-shattering decisions.
Yes, yes. It's for the record, it's very painful for me to choose, especially when it comes to my own team. It's like a superstition I have. But if Edmonton and Colorado played, which I hate looking ahead, but let's say it came down to that. Let's say they played right now.
I mean, you were
tomorrow.
cursing on your show
I get
when
violent.
people were asking you
Yeah.
these questions. So I'm like preparing myself for getting this hit with this puck here. So I mean, this stick.
But I'm not sure that Edmonton would lose to Colorado again. They lost 2 years ago, and talking to scouts here, they're like, Edmonton is very hard to play against. And the difference for Edmonton this year is their defense. They brought in Paul Coffey to be their defensive coach. He's a former Oiler.
Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Yeah. And this is the difference. Edmonton hires their own. Once an Oiler, always an Oiler is the saying. So they care more. So they bring in Paul Coffey, and I've been embarrassed of the Oilers defense for the last probably 15, 20 years of my life. And this year's the first time I can say we're actually clicking.
They used
on
to
all
win in
cylinders.
shootouts before. They let up a lot of goals, but they score a lot of goals.
Right. Like I would see
Now
some
it's
of the
different.
things I saw Vegas do, moving the puck out of their own end quickly last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, the things I'm seeing Edmonton do. And I'm shocked. And that's why I can say that I think, yeah, they're
That game
just,
the other night was a great game, 1-0. You don't see that too often.
not, especially
Edmonton,
not in the playoffs.
That's good defense. And they got dominated on the shots on goal. I don't know if you saw the shots
did.
on goal, like 30-something to
33 to 13, I think they were.
It's crazy.
It's one of those things where, Edmonton likes to have one really bad game every series, and they had it in game 2. And then game 3, they dominated LA. Edmonton's got a better team than the
Yeah, of
Kings, no
course.
doubt.
Yeah.
But Edmonton just every once in a while, it's like they get up and then they sit back and then they whatever. But Edmonton's going to win at home tonight in game 5. They're going back home. That's a team that going back home, they were messing around in LA too much.
The Kings, I mean, unless they get extremely lucky and jump out to a couple of goal lead.
The Kings stink. I mean,
I think they're gonna.
we talk about this. Like the cool thing about hockey from guys who cover all these different sports is you have so much parity. You have so many teams that can make it, right? It's not like that, like in the NBA. It's not really like that in the NBA. Not really, definitely not like that in college sports. Sometimes, but not really. But hockey, you can go deep into the brackets of the East and the West, and teams can make it.
I firmly agree with that.
That's why we love it.
And it's interesting because I've been saying all year that I feel like the West is a lot stronger than the East. Like there's more teams in the West that could win the Stanley Cup than the East.
So if you had to pick 2 teams now, who's going to be in the Stanley Cup?
There he is.
I honestly don't know. I can't even predict because there's going to be another upset or 2 coming along. There
too
always
far out.
is.
I mean,
It's
I'll throw
too
my
hard.
prediction
Well, let's
out there.
hear
I'll
it.
cover. I'm going with the Oilers and the Panthers.
Wow, the Panthers,
Yeah.
you think they go all the way?
Why not? They
They're
got
the
a
same.
shot.
They're pretty much the same team as last year, but healthier.
They might have to go through the
healthier,
Rangers-Carolina
deeper.
series, though.
They have, and they play a little bit of that bad boy hockey this year. They're like the kind of like the villains of hockey in a way. And I think I mean, I don't know what happened in the Tampa series, but like Sarina said, Tampa just didn't show up. I mean, they just did not. Tampa's a way better team.
I don't believe that.
Tampa.
I don't believe that. I think they did
You
show
think
up.
the Panthers are that
yeah,
good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Panthers are better. They're smarter. They had a year under their belt. They've had a couple of good years to get together. I think they're right. They're real.
Their penalty kill
And
is unbelievable.
Tampa had their
I'll tell you
run.
that.
Don't forget.
They did.
You know,
They're nearing the end of that.
they had their run. Maybe this is the Panthers'
They
little
were
charge.
the Cats and Bolts podcast was talking about Stamkos' potential last year in Tampa.
Yeah.
I thought the way.
But one player's not going to carry.
No, of course not.
you know.
But the way he stood out there, like waiting for his whole team and just kind of taking it all in, I thought that was like a telltale sign that he thinks he might not
Potentially.
be back.
What
But
about
he's captain.
don't want to just keep hitting you with all these teams, but what's your thoughts on the other Canadian team, Vancouver? You see anything out of them?
Ooh, I'll tell you what. I underestimated Vancouver. Watching them play Nashville, Vancouver moves the puck around the offensive zone so fast
Right.
and so sharp. And they've got Hughes on defense, and he's small, but he's an incredible player. Their defense is really good too. Vancouver, all year, they just kind of stayed steadily at the top. They
Yep.
never really had a slump.
Well, they're perfect example. Yeah, they've
Yeah.
been steady all year.
Yeah, but Rick Tocchet, their coach, he's doing a really good job there, and Vancouver should not be underestimated either.
They could have closed it out the other night, and they blew it at home.
In overtime.
Now they're going back to Nashville for Game 6.
Nashville's never a slouch.
No.
They're never a slouch.
No, their goalie was awesome the other night. I was watching that game. Man, he was making some crazy-ass saves there. But anything else you want to add on, guys?
No, I think this has been a real, pretty interesting show here. And like I said, who better than Sarina to break down hockey for us?
That's why I call her the Queen of Pucks for our
Sarina
show.
Pucks.
I hope you don't have any problem with that, Rob. All right, he's cool with it. I'm cool with it. But listen, we really, really appreciate you coming on the show. And can you please tell our audience where they can find you guys on social media or wherever you're located?
Yeah, for sure. So our podcast is Cats and Bolts. So on Instagram, it's Cats and Bolts. On IG, and that's pretty much where to find it. We're on Spotify, YouTube. You can just search Cats and Bolts Podcast. We're all over the place.
Well, if you want to watch the whole show, you go to YouTube, right? If you want to visually see the whole show.
Yeah, and who wouldn't want to look at
And
it?
if you want to see, producer, so this studio has Podcast Junkies has multiple producers, but we, OSB and Cats and Bolts, we have the same producer, Ben, and Ben gets a pen thrown at him at the end of every show by Sarina's husband. So That's my favorite. I mean, that's awesome.
Hey, I had to
I'll
ask-
start putting the camera on.
I got to
me so
figure
you
out what I
see.
can throw. I don't want to throw a pen. I don't want to copy, but maybe I'll throw like I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I had a question for you guys. Do you guys go to any of these playoff games? Are you
Yeah.
planning on going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside the Panthers, or just kind of staying local?
Well, we went to the Panthers games. Rod went to Tampa on
Rod,
Saturday.
I'm sorry, I called you Rod. I apologize.
You're
so
just really bad with names.
He's fine.
It's all right.
good.
I only missed it by one letter, with beef to a D. Go ahead, I'm with you.
So we, I mean, realistically, we haven't really thought about going to other games, but I mean, potentially, yeah, why not?
Okay.
So my buddy was in Tampa for the game. It was Saturday, and he ran into Ric Flair.
Oh,
Streets
really?
in Tampa,
Woo! Like actually Ric Flair?
Yeah, Ric Flair. Yeah,
You know they have the guy at the Panthers
Yeah.
game that looks like him.
That's why I was like, was
no,
it
it was
actually
the real
Ric
Ric
Flair?
Flair.
Okay.
Yeah. He gets like all these people like, it's funny. He does look like him, though.
He
younger,
does, yeah.
Well, listen, it was great having you on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We know you're locked in big time this time of the year with the hockey, so we do appreciate you taking the time and coming on the show, and you have a great day.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Love being here.
Yep, that's it. Well, you don't get any better than that. I mean, that's experience at the highest level right there, Big Kahuna. When it comes to hockey.
100%. Yeah.
I was going to challenge her, but I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that.
Well, you did a little bit on the Dallas-Vegas series, so now we got to see what happens there.
I'm telling
we
you,
got to
Dallas
see
is
if the
getting...
Queen keeps her crown or if she has to
listen, Sarina,
relinquish
I
it.
see you still here. If Vegas wins, we'll make a little friendly bet. If Vegas wins, I'll take you for dinner. If the other side wins, you don't owe me anything. I'm that confident in my pick.
Okay, done.
All right. You have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Well, listen, we got a lot of stuff going on, man.
We do.
A lot of
We
stuff.
do.
Let me just run a few things that I want to touch base on. Number one, obviously, our wheelhouse, NBA playoffs. I know you don't like it.
Not my wheelhouse,
well,
but that's okay.
we got the we
I
talked
predicted Denver was a big favorite, but they did get it done.
about. Man, was that game phenomenal
Well,
the
Big
other night?
Kahuna.
And this-
Well,
I'm gonna make
it-
a similar prediction. The sun's gonna rise tomorrow morning.
The whole question, not to get into, is where does the
50 to 1.
Where does the king end up now? Where does LeBron end up?
L.A., baby.
You think he
LA's
stays in
trying to
LA?
extend him, and they're telling him, "You stay. We'll give you an extension, and we'll draft your son, who's not even good at basketball."
Yeah, that's just a gimme right
But
there.
they'll do
If
it
they
to him.
that.
They'll do it
he's
for
not,
him.
He's not Laker caliber. That
Why not?
guy.
Why wouldn't you?
They're gonna do
You
it.
gotta
It's
do
gonna
it
sell
right.
tickets. They'll
Oh,
do
yeah.
it for a year.
We were talking at dinner last night. Has there ever been a father-son NBA duel on the same team?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Listen.
There's been brothers. I don't think
don't-
a father
I don't
and
know.
son. You're talking about ratings. That'll blow up.
Well, there's
the
been a
ratings.
father and son, but they haven't played at the same time. Dolce,
Coaching there has,
Shays-
even Doc Rivers and his
no,
son,
Right.
baseball. Yeah, Doc Rivers. Coaching and players is one
Griffey and
thing.
Griffey, I think.
Yeah,
were,
that was
you know.
baseball. And I'm sure there's been football. There's
Right.
fathers and sons and
Well,
brothers.
in the NFL
obviously.
was Schuler and Schuler.
The Kelsey
Remember
brothers.
that? Schuler
Yeah.
and Schuler.
Yep, and that's
It's a
it.
testament to, as much as I'm not a LeBron fan, everybody that watches me, but it's a testament to his longevity. You got to go long in your years to be able to play with your son, and you got to have kids young too. But you got to go long in your years to be able to play with your son. So it might be cool to see, even from someone who doesn't really have an interest in the Lakers or LeBron. It's still, I want to see it, right? So if I want to see it and I don't even care about it,
No,
it's probably going to be a good thing for them.
It'll blow the ratings out of the water if that happens. Especially,
Yeah, of
especially in an
Yeah,
LA market.
I don't know if it'll blow the ratings out. I mean, it's it is
first
what it
few
is.
games it would be
Yeah,
big.
I mean, it's it is what it is. It's
So, guys, I gave a bunch of NHL predictions. I want to throw it to you guys, and who's going to
I'm
win?
past NHL already.
So exactly. So
Why
so
would-
I want the NBA predictions from you guys. Who's going to win some of these series? Who's going to go deep? Who's going to go to the finals? And who's going to win it all?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of surprise teams. Well, I like Boston anyways. I'm being like the big kahuna now. I'm not putting my ass out there too heavy saying I like Boston to get to the finals because I think they're going to get there definitely. I just think it's meant to be for them. I think they've been just circling and circling and circling. Now it's time for them to land. So they're going to get to the finals, I believe, again. And it's just a question. You know what? This OKC team is surprising. This Minnesota team can give Denver a run for their money. Don't count this Minnesota team out. They got some really, really good players on that team. So, the West for me is open a little bit. I just think the East is all about Boston.
Yeah,
I'm going to look a little longer before I, go in the West side. I'm just going to kind of go individual games and move. I'm not a long range play. I'm not really a long range guy.
Well, none of us are, but that's really all we could really do sometimes with the predictions. But no love for the Knicks, huh?
No, not against Boston. I mean, if they did match against Boston, no.
You think
that?
You think?
Well, actually, with that Porzingis injury, that could be a little tricky right now because Porzingis is a major piece to the puzzle for the Celtics, and he's going to be out for a while. So that could be an interesting move there. But I'm still going to ride with the Celtics because I think their talent and their bench is better than anyone on the East.
I have to agree.
And the West, I got to be honest with you, I think the West is open. Denver's going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time because let me tell you something. These teams like Minnesota and OKC, I mean, I don't know who they'll end up matching up, but they're playing Minnesota.
They're playing Minnesota.
And this Anthony Edwards is a friggin' beast. I mean, this guy, and now they got Cat back, Karl Anthony Towns. I'm getting these names right, bud.
It's the hockey names that you have a problem with.
I don't know what
They're more complicated.
The Russian twist. The Russian twist.
The Russians, the Europeans, Canadians.
But I think that it's going to be all about Boston. And don't be surprised if, again, Denver's banged up. They had some guys banged up. They've been in and out of the own. Murray's been banged up. They lost Caldwell Pope the other night was banged up. All it could take is one injury here or there that could change everything around.
They have those deep players like Derek White just comes in and starts dropping shots. It's pretty cool to see.
I got to just flip. I'm going to flip to a whole different subject right now. I just want to get you guys. It's a little funny to me. They made the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight a sanctioned 8-round fight, 2-minute rounds. So it's an official fight at 57 years old that goes on his record.
8 rounds, 2-minute rounds.
2-minute rounds, not 3 minutes.
Wearing gloves.
Regular boxing gloves, 14 ounce.
Well, they had to do it.
Is there going to be headgear?
No.
Good.
Because they were talking about doing headgear.
No one would have taken the fight serious if it was not sanctioned.
Right.
Let's face it. If they're trying to sell tickets out, this is going to be on Netflix or Amazon, whoever the hell. Yeah. They had to do it. No one would take it seriously.
I think it's pretty cool though if you think about it. I mean, they're going to hype this thing up because first of all, Jake Paul's a master hyper. Tyson, just from his reputation and all the stuff around him, is going to a master hyper. When it gets closer, they're going to get nuts. The weigh-ins are going to be nuts.
Have you ever lit off a bottle rocket?
Have I lit off a bottle rocket? Yes.
Okay. So the way
as a young man,
the way I view this Jake Paul stuff is like a bottle rocket. Like he needs to fight someone serious soon. Otherwise, the bottle rocket's going to fizz out and well,
let me tell you something. This Jake...
I don't hate on Jake Paul. I like what he's doing, but he's got to fight like a fighter. Why not Canelo?
No.
Canelo's fighting this weekend, by the way.
Right. Yeah, I know. Who's he fighting? I forgot.
Some guy who doesn't have a big name.
Oh, by the way...
but he's 43-0.
He's still the... Tyson's the dog on this one. They're making Jake Paul the favorite, not a big favorite.
Well, you got 30 years in his corner. Which and you know what? Don't take Jake Paul light, man.
No, Jake Paul he's a boxer.
He could tire Tyson out if he fights him smart. Hey, if he's going to go head to head with Tyson in a war, no, that's not the way to go. But if he can move around, do a bobbing around, get Tyson a little tired, all it takes is when a guy's tired and he's 57 years old, you catch him in the right spot, side of the head or something. Tyson goes down. He's not Tyson. Everyone's saying Tyson. He's not the Tyson we're used to seeing. He's a 57-year-old man. Yeah, he's in great shape. I get it. But you're talking about a 27-year-old guy that's trying to really take this serious.
Very serious.
And listen,
has he ever taken a hit by a guy like Tyson, though?
But is Tyson's hit now the same as Tyson's hit 30 years ago?
I wouldn't want to test it, man.
You know what they said? You know how they compared Tyson's hit back in his heyday?
Yeah, like a brick wall.
It was taking a pillow, wrapping the pillow around your face, and having a Major League Baseball player swing the bat, home run swing right into your face.
There you go.
I saw a thing the other day, Golden Gloves in New York, 15 years old, he knocks a guy out in 8 seconds. Now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, speaking of 15, there's
we got to get you on the. We got to get one of those girls to come against you in that pillow fighting. I'm
That's
thinking
something
about
that's
that
going to,
still.
yeah, we're working on that.
I'm trying to get you in the ring with a
We're-
female pillow fighter.
I could
if
see-
Big Kahuna can match up there.
I was watching the Cats and Bolts podcast before we
He's a
came
big
on.
fan of that show, huh?
I was
It's a
very
good-
entertained.
it's a great show.
because they're husband and wife,
course.
and I thought they were about to get into a pillow fight. I mean, they go at it. They have good opposing views.
Disagreements.
The Voodoo Ranger for me, Ben.
There you go.
So talk about this next thing we're gonna do here. Let's.
Well, I was gonna wait a little bit, but
Well,
since
let's
you
get
brought-
right into it.
You know, there's a subject out there, guys. It's pretty hilarious. It's they're saying that drinking, I don't know to what level, and sports betting are kind of connected together.
Well, here's what they said, and Ben's gonna throw up the. Thank you, Ben.
wow, look at this.
Ben's gonna throw up the graphic, but they said that sports betting
Coincides with it?
Studies are showing that it leads to binge drinking.
It leads to it.
So
okay.
the way I look at that is it most likely is the other way around, where if you're that's Tommy D. I got mine right
the Big Kahuna.
here. So
Look at this.
if you're having a few
Come on, Big
drinks,
Kahuna. I
if
never had
you're-
a drink with you before.
if you're having a few drinks with your boys and you're watching the game, you probably are more likely to place a bet on that game, right? That's the way I look at it. I don't think that sports betting is leading people to get drunk. I just don't see it.
If you're losing your ass and you're down
you know-
$5K, you're going to resort to drinking to lessen the
don't
hurt
even,
on
I don't
you.
even know if it has anything to do with winning or losing. I think it's just no, I don't. I think it's the environment you're in. If you're in a sports bar and you're there 3 or 4 hours, and obviously the temptation, you're a young guy, you probably drink anyways. You got to drink. You got to drink. It has nothing to do with you
or are
betting
you
the game
already
or you're not
drinking?
betting the game.
Exactly. So here's what I think.
Right?
You got these think tanks, right? Now that sports betting
You
is
guys
legal.
got me thirsty.
Hold on, we're going to do a chug. 1 second. Now that sports betting is legal in most states, many states, you're going to have all these people coming out of the woodwork. Let me explain to you guys what these people do. They don't do shit. Excuse my language. They don't do anything. Ben, you might-
Oh, we could say shit.
I get angry about this stuff.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you guys know what a think tank is?
Well, they do like a study, or they
Yeah,
do like
they're these college graduates that get paid by the government from our taxpayer money to study stuff and come up with their assumptions, which 70% of the time are crap. They're BS. I mean, it's
But they are
because
surveys, though, that they're asking younger people,
yeah, but
right?
think about it. You're
Is it-
asking.
by the way, excuse me, I don't want it to. Is this younger people they're talking this survey on, or just people in general?
I think people
that
in
are
general
betting sports.
But let's say you went to a golf course. In my opinion, people who play golf are probably more likely to be drinkers. Also, I mean,
Yeah, because
as
they're on the
someone who-
golf course,
yeah.
they're going to
What
drink.
goes
some-
on in the clubhouse? They're not drinking chocolate milk.
as someone who plays golf, if I'm having a bad round, I play golf a couple of times a week. I don't drink every time I play, but if I'm having a crap round, I'm saying, where's the cart girl? Let me get a couple of beers. So I think these studies, but hey, guys, we're going to have a chugging contest here. Now, the difference
Chugging
is
contest. Oh boy,
I
you got
have-
the right guys for this one.
I have a 9.5.
Ben, you got a bib for the Big Kahuna? Because it might be all over his face and
In
shirt.
Corona, we're dealing with. We're not dealing with.
You have a bib, Ben?
This is not Scotch or whiskey.
These guys
here.
have
This is-
5%. I got 9.5% because I'm
You're a big boy.
serious
You're a
about
serious
what I
boy.
do here. Let's do it. Cheers, guys,
Cheers.
to a good
Cheers.
Cheers! No, cheers to sports betting and drinking.
year. There you go. We're gonna bet and drink at the same time.
Chug, 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 chug.
I don't want to spill anything on the equipment, but we're empty. Scotty, you got like
I got
3
a lot.
inches left.
Yeah.
So did we come to an
That's what she
agreement?
said.
Is binge drinking and sports betting connected?
I don't think it's. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with Scotty. Like, I think that if you're at a bar and you're drinking, you're
gotta
probably
be-
more
right.
likely to place a bet.
You're there all day.
And if you're placing bets, I don't think people are losing money and drinking because they're losing money.
No,
I think that it's the environment. You're going to
Right.
Vegas, you're going to a sports bar,
exactly.
you're going to these places where it's just things that go hand in hand. I don't
You
think
just hit the nail on the head. That's the best example. You're in the place that you're going to probably have a drink regardless.
They sell both products.
You're in a sports bar. You're in a casino. What do you expect to do when you're sitting in a sports book for 3 hours, maybe 4 hours? Some guys are there all day. They're going to have.
Unless they're sober, unless they're people that just don't drink, and there are people out there that are just completely sober, they don't drink.
Yeah,
but otherwise,
like Tommy D and myself.
Yeah, no, I mean they were talking about it on Cats and Bolts. They're sober. My other friends who do a show here at this podcast Junkie Studio, they're sober. They don't drink. So, but I think and you got to remember what these experts define as binge drinking. To them, binge drinking is if you have more than 2 drinks. So if you have 3 beers, in according to this study, that's binge drinking. 3 beers. I mean, come on.
Listen,
to me, binge drinking is 10, 15, 20 drinks.
I totally agree.
Listen,
3 beers is baby shit. I mean, you could have 3 beers in a half hour.
Big Kahuna and I know guys that go out every night watching games and they're drinking.
They hit it hard.
Whether they're drinking,
shout out to Quarterdeck.
Yeah,
I won't say any names, but shout out to Quarterdeck.
Right, there you go.
One of my favorite places to have a beer and watch the Panthers game.
2 initials, but we won't say the two letters.
All right. Well, listen, I think we touched base on this pretty good. Did you get your point out on the?
No,
on the binge and drinking?
I see a correlation. There's a lot of heavy sports bettors that do drink a lot. I think there is a correlation, but I guess we could talk about that at another time.
Here's how I look at it. I'm a serious player. I'm not going to dilute my mind and start drinking and getting messed up.
Exactly.
And then trying to put all this money on games. I think that is totally
well,
crazy.
You're professional. I'm talking about the recreational guy that's out there betting crazy stuff, going out with his buddies. He's getting wasted at a sports bar.
But here's the thing.
I don't know about that.
Let's say you ban sports betting.
They're still
you
going
think that guy's drinking less?
No, of course not.
Exactly.
He's going to probably drink more.
Exactly. It's just like when they banned drinking. What happened when they banned drinking? The mob came in, took over with the bootlegging, and it just creates a whole.
Well, there's a list of the states that have the biggest drunks, and it's Minnesota, Wisconsin, the states where it's cold as hell.
Colorado. I lived in Colorado.
And what do they got to do out there?
Let me tell you a quick story. I lived in Colorado for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I've lived in Florida the rest of my life.
Right.
I have never once gotten pulled over in Florida and DUI tested. I lived in Colorado for 1.5 years. I got pulled over 3 times.
Really?
Sober, tested for DUI and passed the test, and they let me go. One of the times was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I was pulling into a market, a Publix, but it's called City Market over there. I'm pulling in. I park in my spot. I look behind me. The lights are on. They give me a field sobriety test at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I passed the sobriety test. By the time the sobriety test was over, people were watching, and the cop said, "Okay, you passed." I had like 15 people clapping for me because I passed the sobriety test. Now, meanwhile, I didn't drink anything, but to me, it just says that there's so much drinking going on in those cold states.
Those states
that they're pulling people over.
I think Wisconsin, Minnesota took the top.
That's why. One thing that I notice is in the wintertime, as what we do, we get more clients in the wintertime because people are inside because it's so cold and they have nothing else to do but watch the games and bet on them.
And drink.
That's always been a fact since we've been in the industry, yeah. The wintertime on the East Coast keeps the people on the inside, and the summertime they're on the outside.
People are out, they're traveling, they're with their families.
It's hard to get in touch with them. Well, guys, I think we had an unbelievable show today. We touched base on all the playoffs, almost every team. We talked about the fight coming up. By the way, Formula One this weekend. Just I don't know, you guys going? I don't want to get elaborate into it, but you going to that?
No, I'm not into that.
Are you into that?
I'd love to go. I mean, tickets are like $2-3K. Why don't we?
Let's do it. Put it on the Amex.
Yeah, Amex.
Ben, you got the Amex?
Yeah.
Let's go. We want to go to the Formula.
I already bought it. We're already done.
Oh, we're good?
I bought myself a ticket too. I hope that's okay.
And Run for the Roses this weekend.
Oh, I actually, so that leads real quick. So I have a lot of.
Is there any horse that sticks out for this race?
Yeah. So the horse that sticks out
the one that wins
is the number 2. Well, he's not the 2 spot, but he's the second place favorite. He's not the favorite, but he's the second favorite.
Oh, you like the one with Tyler Gaffalione?
He's 3-1.
I know who you like already.
His name is Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, 3-1.
Tyler Gaffleone's the jock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a hometown hero, Tyler.
Tyler's a great jockey. I was trying to get him to come on the podcast, actually. I had some contacts to him, but obviously now he's in Keeneland, and then he's moving to Churchill.
I think
they're running
my
a
guy
Churchill.
Sean. I think my guy Sean knows him. He's what, in his 20s?
Tyler Gaffleone now. He's
28,
probably a little.
29.
Yeah, he
or
could
no?
be.
How? Wait, yeah, okay.
He could be a little older.
But he's from down here.
He is from
Yeah,
down. He
hometown
started
guy.
down here. Great jockey. One of the top jockeys. Travels all the big colonies around the country. And, I used to love horses. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't want to bore you with
Sport of Kings.
I used to love them many, many years ago, but learned the hard way for me at least. Just too difficult to win consistently with them. I'd rather stick to something that I can consistently get a much better product and result out of, which is sports betting versus horse racing. I can't figure the four-legged.
Well, let's tell the audience we'll be at Gulfstream on Saturday watching the Derp.
Where are we sitting? You going to tell them the table number 2? Where we at?
Listen, we're going to be watching simulcast, but it's going to be a good
And guys,
good day out.
That's exciting stuff. You're going to have to zoom me in. We're
But
talking.
you should have had the big your protege of the big Kahuna. We won't mention any names. He should have took us right to Churchill with him instead of to Gulfstream. We're going to Gulfstream. We should be right where the action is in Louisville.
Well, I'll take Gulfstream, man.
You got to have the outfits. You got to have the outfits.
Imagine a big Kahuna, one of those big fancy
I'm going to wear one of those hats.
Big fancy ass hats. All right, guys, listen. We're all the way down to the wire here. We have knocked in. We've hit pretty much the whole show with everything we talked about.
They're going to charge us for 2 shows, I think.
Ben, take it easy over there. He's smiling away on us. But listen, it was a great show.
Yeah, it was.
I really appreciate you guys being here with me again. We're here each and every week. This is the OSB Sports Podcast. Teddy Brooks, tell the people where they can find you and get your information and selections and all that good stuff each and every day.
Yeah, so, we give out the free picks. What we do is we give some on YouTube, some on Instagram. Sometimes we give them on both. The YouTube is youtube.com/@thesportsprofits. The Instagram is _profits_picks. Pick, no S on pick. 90, 42, and 3 so far on the year 2024. I'm tallying that all year because I think we're on the way to do something great with these free games.
It's like
we had a bad. We went 2 and 5 last week, but we're still overall for the year.
Wait till I tell you my numbers in a minute.
Let's hear them.
Go up. I gotta give the big Kahuna. Excuse me.
He's so excited. He's hitting
I'm so
his
excited
microphone.
about the numbers lately. Yeah, I just hope they.
Well, the Big Kahuna just hit 20,000 followers on Instagram. Yeah. OSB_sports. We put up multiple free picks daily. We're on YouTube at OSB-sports. Why not throw in Twitter or X, excuse me, Mr. Musk, at OSB Sports Bet, and check us out, man.
What about your the new place you have where people can buy and purchase your picks?
All right, thank you. Yeah, we're on WAP now. It's WHOP.com. Go on WAP, put in OSB Sports. We got daily packages, weekly, monthly. I even have free stuff. You need a Discord and check it out.
I'm thinking about moving over to WAP from the Dub Club, but I got an issue. I'm Italian. Got some Italian blood in me, and I find that a little derogatory.
Well, listen, a bunch of Jews started that, so you can blame them. True.
All right, guys, I don't want to be in the middle of this conversation, but listen, as I said, it's great to be here. This is the one and only OSB Sports Podcast Show. I'm Scott Matthews.
Oh, I got to stop you. Let's announce what we're doing here. Let's tell the people that we are going to be taking we're going to be separating, because we all post this on our own channels. We're going to be dedicating a YouTube channel just for this show.
Okay. Sounds great. Let's go.
I had to interrupt you. Sorry for interrupting you.
That's all right.
I had to put it out there.
No, good plug,
man.
Are
we good? You done?
Yeah.
Done.
You
That's
done?
Done.
All right.
I'm done.
All right. Let me sign off, guys, because Ben's staring at us, and I don't like the way he's looking at me right now. You can follow us each and every week. This show is called, again, the OSB Sports Podcast. It's up on Spotify. It's up on Apple. It's up on YouTube. It's up on all the sites. And I'm going to tell you my stuff right now. You can find clips of the show and everything else. So check it all out. We're trying to do the best job we can for you, give you that winning edge, give you the best advice possible. All right, just to give you some numbers. All right, you ready for this, Teddy?
I want to hear them.
All right,
You're fired up.
Drum roll. The last 12 games on my social media, I am currently 11-1.
Wow.
On the last 12 games, and 18-4 currently on my last 22 selections.
Wow.
That I'm giving away for free. Check it all out. Let me give you my Instagram. It's SMSportsPicks, Picks, and my TikTok is SMPicks, Picks. It's all true, guys. Everything I do, I put up beforehand. There's no fancy bags of money. There's no fancy big this, big that. It's just all about consistent
guys,
winning. He likes to jump on it.
We have to because, listen, we all put up free plays. There's a lot of guys out there on social media. They'll show Ferraris, which you can rent, by the way. They'll show bags of cash, fancy watches, and
fake money you could buy, you know.
You don't know what they're really doing. So we put our picks out there, and even if they don't always win,
they're out there.
At least
That's
we have the
line.
balls to put ourselves out there, right? Even if we have a terrible month and we go 15-25, we're putting it out there to show you guys that we have the courage to do so, and I think that's a big step. Congrats on the big record, Scotty.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Teddy. Coming from you, too.
Man. Good work.
Because I know you work hard at what you do. I try to do my best for everyone out there. You know, it's funny, and I'm going to sign off on this, but there's so many players out there, I don't know, they just like to hate, and when you're doing a great job for them, you don't hear anything. Some guys do, and I appreciate that.
They do.
I appreciate the ones that are thick and thin. But a lot of them, when you're losing, they're jumping all over you and sending you the dumbest things. But when you win, you never hear from those guys. Guys, play even keel. I don't care either way. At the end of the day, I'm trying to do the best I can for you.
It's not just our industry. I was listening to some podcasts. It's a reflection on society. There's a lot more negativity than positivity right now in society, and I think we need to turn that around. So what I like to do is whenever I get a good comment on my videos and stuff, I like to try to reach out to them and send them like a T-shirt or like, Tommy, you could
I've been getting requests from this OSB hat.
You can send them the OSB hat.
We're going to be telling where we can get these hats shortly.
I think they only want the one on your head, though. That's the problem.
But every once in a while,
wants the original.
Every once in a while, I'll get a commenter that does bring some great. I had a guy commented on a video a couple days ago that he's up 6,000 on the year on my free game. So stuff like that is what keeps us going. Am I right?
By all means,
definitely. Listen, we love what we do, guys. Don't get us wrong. This is all we do. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I know these two gentlemen a long time. We put a lot of hours in each and every day. I mean, even if we're traveling or doing things, it's all wrapped around the business as well.
Speaking of traveling, I will be in New York next week at the SBC event, big sports betting event.
Too.
I'm going to be rubbing shoulders with the CEO of MGM and all these stuff, so I'm excited. You guys are going to have to
shoot
zoom
a bunch of you
guys are going to have to zoom me in for the show.
We will. That'll be good. That'll be good content.
We got our new co-host sitting on the couch over there. We're going to bring him on the show next week. All right, guys. Listen, it was great. Check the show out. Like I said, find it on all podcast forums: Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Have a great day. We'll see you back here next week.